Hi, and welcome to the first episode of the course on how I make a living from my bed. I'm Natalie, also known as Dragonflies and Dreams in the ME community. And with that, let's get started. So, the first episode, we're going to be looking at choosing a niche. So, we'll go into what a niche is, no-nos for niches, tips for choosing a niche, popular evergreen niches, and I'll explain a bit more about what that is, how to research niches, and then I'll give you my experience of what I've learned about niches and what works. Then we'll also go into how to choose a store name and testing your niche. So first of all, what is a niche? Basically, a niche is a focus for your store. So it's where you choose what kind of products, what style, and what audience you are aiming at. So a broad niche would be gifts. A narrow niche would be boho wedding invitations for nature-loving brides. So you can see the first one is too broad. The narrow niche is way too narrow. If you decided to go with the narrow niche, you're really cutting your potential customers, your customer base, into sorry guys, that niche is going to be far too narrow, and you're going to struggle for sales. So why do you need to choose a niche? First of all, it helps you focus your designs. It also helps you to attract the right customers. So if you just have a general gift store, so the broad niche, it's very hard for you to first of all decide on what products you're going to include. It's very hard to cater for all possible gifts. And it also means that customers might not necessarily want to follow your store or come back to your store because you've just got everything but the kitchen sink in there. And it's going to be hard for them to find what they're looking for. It also helps you build a really cohesive store that looks professional. A store that just has thousands of different products that seem to have no relation to each other. The design styles are all different. It's just kind of a fruit salad. That's not very appealing to customers. Okay, so some niche examples. So very broad niches. Gifts for everyone. Okay, so that's the one we mentioned before. Home decor. Clothing and accessories. So in other words, it's too broad because home decor, what kind of stuff is there? What kind of design styles? Who is your target audience for that? It's a very broad thing. Clothing and accessories, I mean, now you're talking about t-shirts, ties, watches, tote bags. It's a very broad niche. So for some very narrow niches, minimalist wedding invitations for eco-conscious couples, funny mugs for cat lovers, business cards for beauty salons specializing in organic products. So you can see those ones are far too specific because, funny mugs for cat lovers, how many people are cat lovers? How many of those people are looking for funny mugs? It's not to say that there aren't any potential customers for that niche. There are, but it's way too small. Okay, so where is the sweet spot? You don't want to be too broad because you'll get lost in the crowd, and too narrow will limit your audience. So you need to aim for a niche that's specific but flexible enough to expand. So in other words, you're looking at a niche that's somewhere in between those very broad niches and the very, very narrow niches. Okay, so before we get into the tips I have for choosing a niche, we need to talk about the niche no-nos. So these are items that you have to stay away from. Anything to do with movies and TV shows, these are all about copyright. So these are niches that you cannot do. You will find stores on Etsy that have Disney stuff and all that sort of thing, but those are illegal. People owning Etsy stores with copyrighted characters, and they end up, people have been sued. So it is a no-no. Zazzle will not allow you to sell any products that belong to that are copyrighted. So you can try create a Mickey Mouse T-shirt if you want, but they will most likely catch it very soon. If they don't catch it before someone orders, when someone orders, that order will be cancelled and the product will be removed from your store. If you get too many of those issues happening, your store can be closed down. So these are definite no-nos. So movies and TV shows, that covers quotes from those things, characters, fan art, photos. So it doesn't matter, even if you draw or paint or create your own art, it is still not allowed because it is based on copyrighted material. Song lyrics. Somebody on Etsy had her store shut down because she was creating all sorts of really beautiful t-shirts and things, but they had lyrics from Taylor Swift songs. So that's a no-no. Books, whether it's quotes, titles, authors, and characters, not allowed. Any celebrity names or photos, drawings of any celebrities is a no-no, excluding politicians. So politicians are fair game. You want to do an anti-Trump t-shirt, for example, have at it. No problem at all. You can use pictures, drawings of politicians, their names. It can be pro or anti, it doesn't matter, that's all fine. The only thing you have to be careful of is where you're getting your images from, because photographs are likely copyrighted, so you do have to be careful about that. Sports teams and events, so any football team, soccer teams, any team names or logos, and any sort of events like the Olympics, the Super Bowl, all of those things have their own logos and their own merchandise. So obviously you can't go and create something for those teams, because you're then taking away from those organizations' merch sales. So that's a no. Any universities, colleges, or schools, names, logos, not allowed. Fraternity or sorority logos, which is something I recently discovered because a guy reached out to me and he wanted his fraternity logo on a watch. I spent hours on it, and only for him to place the order and then Zazzle to cancel the order because it's not allowed. Obviously, company names or logos is a no. I designed a mug that had a logo on it that looked very similar to the Starbucks logo. It wasn't exactly the same, but it had the same colors, and you could definitely, looking at it, see that it was based on the Starbucks logo, and that was removed from my store. And then designs created by others. Obviously, you can't take somebody else's design, whether it's a t-shirt design or it's just an image or graphic that you found on Google image search or whatever it is. You cannot just use other people's artworks or designs. The only exception there is with graphics that you buy. So it is possible to buy graphics of any description and then to use them if you have a commercial license. And that's something we'll get into when we start talking more about design. So I'm not going to cover it now, but we will discuss that. Okay, so tips for choosing a niche. So how do you choose? First place to start is to look at your interests and hobbies. For example, if you are a pickleball player, you love pickleball, you're going to know all the lingo and what kinds of products pickleball players will be interested in. So that's something you can look at. Now, can you establish an entire store around pickleball? I would not. That's something I would definitely not do because I don't think that the customer base is large enough that you can make a living on that. But what you could do is maybe a sports store. So you have baseball, football, soccer, all that sort of stuff, and you have a wide range of products. So Zazzle, you can do tennis balls, tennis rackets, pickleball, sorry. Oh, Lord. Okay. Sorry. You can have, there's a huge variety of sports products in addition to things like t-shirts, and you can get quite creative with what you can do with that. So that's one thing to look at. Then obviously your design skills are going to influence what kinds of products and therefore what kinds of categories you can look at. So if you have no design skills, and you can absolutely make a living with no design skills. First of all, design skills you will learn and your design skills will grow. When I look at the stuff that I designed in 2018 when I first started, I cringe. It's the same as, even though I have done graphic design for many years, I was never formally trained in graphic design. So I learned from a brilliant graphic designer, and he would just teach me, I'd say, how did you do that? How did you do this? And so I learned very slowly. But I look at designs I did 10 years ago, and again, I cringe. And that's quite a normal thing amongst all kinds of designers. You look back at stuff you did, and it's like, oh gosh, it's so ugly. Because your skills improve over time. So if you have no design skills, it's still possible. You can have a look at these examples from Zazzle, and these are top sellers on the site. So you can look at them, and I mean, you look at the first one, that's a wedding welcome sign, no graphics. The only thing is the and word there is a graphic, but we'll get to that when we get to the design lesson. But you look at the second one, that's a wedding thank you card. It's just photos and text. The same for the third image, which is a business card. So there are a lot of options, even if you don't have design skills. Oh gosh, sorry. Oh, just went blank. Sorry, brain fog. All right, I'm just going to move on. Okay, so purchase graphics are another option. Oh, sorry, what I did want to say is there are certain categories where not having design skills and not being able to use graphics is going to be a problem and kind of rules them out. If you think about kids' birthday parties, for example, plain text, kids' birthday party invitations and favors and all that sort of stuff, decor, has to have graphics and color. That's a critical element. So that's not something that you should focus on. But there are a lot of other areas where plain text or text and photos are perfectly fine, if not quite desirable. All right, so purchase graphics. So if you're just starting out and you don't really have the budget for buying graphics, that's okay. You can stick to the text and photo, and maybe once you have started generating sales, you can look at buying graphics. Graphics on Etsy are available, a lot of them, for, I mean, $1, $2, $5. There are more expensive ones, obviously, but it's really easy to find a really nice set of graphics. When I say, $1 or $2, we're not talking about for one image, we're talking about a set. So you might have a set of watercolor baby images. So it'll have pictures of baby clothes and, baby bottles and all that sort of stuff in a nice watercolor. Watercolor is very popular. So you can find that for a couple of dollars on Etsy. And when we get to the design portion of the course, I will go into that in more detail and show you what to look out for. You just have to make sure you have commercial rights on anything that you buy. Then the third option is obviously to create your own graphics. So if you are an artist, you're a graphic designer, and I'm a graphic designer, I cannot create my own graphics. I can download a graphic I have a subscription for freepik.com. I can download images from there and edit them, change the colors, add things, take things, but I cannot draw. So and I definitely can't paint. So it is 1000% possible to make a really good living on Zazzle without having to create your own graphics. I do purchase graphics, and I do text and photo designs as well. Alright, so another thing to look at when you're looking at choosing a niche is your earning potential. Obviously, mugs, you're making anywhere between $1 to $2 per mug. So if you're going to do a funny mug store, you're going to have to sell a lot of mugs to make a living. And you look at wedding invitations, when you think about what you're making per wedding invitation, it's a couple of cents. But you have to bear in mind that people are usually buying, at least 50. Sometimes 100. I've had, I think my biggest sale was 500 invitations. And that really adds up. All of the sort of paper stuff, programs, wedding programs, funeral programs, very small royalty per item, but you do sell volume. So that is something you've got to bear in mind, is have a look at, the products you're thinking of designing, and see what the what are the prices, what are the royalty rates, and how often do I expect to sell them. So for example, cornhole board sets, I think they cost around $200. I'm not sure. I know that I make $30 per board set that I sell, which is great, but you don't sell them every day. So these are things that you need to take all of these things into account when you're looking at what niche you want to specialize in. Then a very important one is seasonal versus evergreen. So the seasonal stuff is, all of your holidays, Valentine's Day, Easter, Christmas, all of those things. Now, while you could come up with a winning Christmas card design and sell quite a lot of them, it's only once a year. So I personally have stopped designing for holidays. I try and stay away from seasonal things, except when it comes to baby showers, but we'll talk about that at a later stage. So just think about what sort of categories you're wanting to design in. And if you were going to do a holiday store where you only do, all the major holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, I would highly recommend, if you're going to do any sort of holiday stuff, to go with the American holidays, because those Americans are the largest, they make up the largest number of customers. Sorry, guys, I really am struggling a little bit with words today, so please be patient and just bear with me. All right, personalized products. This is a must for Zazzle. The main reason I've seen for people not making money on Zazzle, people posting in the Zazzle community saying, please can someone help me have a look at my store? I don't understand why I'm not selling anything. And then you go have a look and they're sticking a photo, that they took, or a painting that they've done on pillows and whatever. And there are certain sites where that kind of stuff will sell, but that's not Zazzle. Zazzle is all about personalization. So you want to put a painting you did on a pillow, fine, but allow them to add a name or something else where it allows them to personalize it. That is an absolute must no matter what you're designing on Zazzle. Personalized is the key. There are occasionally you will see on the bestsellers list, which we'll get to in a minute, you'll see products that are not personalized, so it's just a funny mug. But first of all, to come up with an idea that sells really well is hard. I've been trying to do it for 6 years and I've had absolutely no luck. So yes, it is possible to have just a simple, funny mug that just has, sort of a saying or whatever it is on it and no personalization. It is possible for that to sell, but, it's not something I would aim for. If you, have a store and at some point you want to add a funny mug or funny t-shirt, whatever it is in, by all means. But I certainly do not recommend focusing on that kind of stuff. And I would highly recommend doing personalized products. Okay, so let's talk about popular evergreen niches. So weddings, anniversaries, and engagements. These are big ones, particularly weddings on Zazzle. Mainly wedding invitations, thank you cards, RSVPs, enclosure cards, all that kind of stuff. Business and office. So business cards, name tags, letterheads, stamps, branded mugs, the list goes on and on. Business, very, very big market on Zazzle, especially business cards. Okay, events. So baby showers. These are things that obviously are happening every day, all year. So that's it's a great niche to consider, although I would not do purely a baby shower shop. Because you've got you need a variety of items, and I'm not saying don't do a baby shower shop because you won't make money, but I think it would be a better idea to add other events. So birthday parties for adults and or kids is a great option, provided, especially for the kids ones, that you are able to work with graphics. And when we get to the design portion of the course, I will cover how to work with graphics that you've bought or downloaded on a subscription. I'll give you all that information. So it is most certainly possible to design kids stuff, kids invitations, party stuff, etc. But you will need to have graphics for that. Adults' birthday parties is a little bit different. You do have the option of just plain text designs. The other one is funerals. Once again, basically anything that involves invitations, thank you cards, programs. Those are a good idea because, as I said, and especially I would say funerals and baby showers, birthday parties. These are things that are much more much more easy to sell than weddings, simply because, for a birthday party or a baby shower, people usually have very simple requirements. It's not as big a deal as weddings. People are going to spend months looking at, 1,000 wedding invitations. And also, there's a huge variety of designs when it comes to weddings. So it's a little bit more difficult to come up with designs that are going to sell well. We will talk about that at a later stage. I'll take you through designing a wedding invitation, and we'll have a look at wedding invitations that sell. So we will get into that, but I feel like funerals and baby showers, birthday parties, that kind of stuff is a lot easier to sell. Then personalized gifts. So as I mentioned, personalized stuff, personalized blankets, mugs for grandma with photos of the grandkids on it. There are really thousands of different options when it comes to personalized gifts. The first store I opened was a personalized gift store, and it's too broad a niche. The navigation in terms of the categories is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. But I'm kind of stuck with it now, which is why I'm going to give you the advice that's about to come up. But nevertheless, whatever you kind of specialize in terms of gifts, you have to make sure they're personalized. Then travel. So travel is also a popular one. T-shirts, family vacation T-shirts, or cruise, funny cruise T-shirts, luggage tags. There is even luggage. Zazzle has a huge range of products. So travel stuff is an option. I cannot say how much, I don't have a travel store. It is one of the stores I'm wanting to open, but I've also realized I have too many stores. It's too much to focus on. So I can't share any sort of experience with a travel store, but it certainly is an option. Then home decor. So I mentioned home decor before as, being too broad, and if you are going to do home decor, you need to make sure it's personalized. That's a mistake I made when I first opened my home decor store. It was the first store I opened after my ME awareness store. And the mistake I made, I didn't know at the time, was nothing was personalized. So, I was just putting, a modern farmhouse was popular at the time. So I was putting, black and white, buffalo plaid, cushions and things, the kinds of things that, I wanted to buy. And it was crickets because, personalized is where it's at. So, you want to do shower curtains or blankets or, pillows, whatever it is, you need to find a way to personalize it so that it's more appealing to Zazzle's customer base. Then pets, that's obviously quite a popular one, dogs and cats being the major sort of category. Now, I would not do a dog store. I'm not saying it can't make money, can't be successful. I can imagine that it would, but I think it's a little bit more difficult. Unless you kind of did a very broad pet store. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. So it's not something I personally would recommend. But it's certainly something you can try, and we'll talk in a minute about how to experiment and find your niche. Okay, so researching niches. So before you can decide on a niche, it's a good idea to have a look at what niches are out there and what niches are successful. So the first place I'd go is Zazzle's bestseller page. So zazzle.com/bestsellers. And if you have a look at the screenshot there, you see you can choose to view bestselling last week, today, last month, last year, or all time. So having a look at the bestsellers, notice what themes and categories are popular. So just looking at that screenshot, which only shows you the first 5 products, sorry, I can't count. It's you have a look and it's mostly business. All of them except the second product, which is a wedding invitation. These are all business products. But I would say have a look, because remember, these bestsellers are not the only things that sell. So don't look at this and think, okay, well, blankets are not going to sell. These are the top sellers, and there are thousands of designers making thousands of sales every month. So there are items that will only show up on page 50 of the best sellers that you can actually make a good living from. So don't let this dictate to you what products that you shouldn't bother doing. For example, cornhole boards, I don't even know, I haven't even looked how far down on the bestsellers list, the first cornhole board would be. But I've sold a fair amount of them. So it's more about looking at what sort of categories of products. So weddings are popular, business is popular. Have a look at that from that angle. Then what kinds of products? So looking at business, what are the kinds of products that are selling? Obviously, business cards is going to be number one. And just to point out, if you look at that business card in the second row, that first one, aside from the logo and the little icons, that's a plain text design. The name tag there, the one that says your logo, Isabella Rodriguez, the second last one, that's also plain text with a logo, which is the same as a photo or an image. Very simple to design. So look at the kinds of products that are selling, and also look at the design styles. So, for the business cards, you can see that it's really simple, that design. Very simple. This is only the bestsellers of last week. When you're doing research on, trying to come up with the niche you want to start out with, I would suggest looking at the bestsellers from the last year. It gives you a much better idea of the kinds of products and categories and design styles that sell. Looking at bestsellers today, last week, and last month can sort of skew your perception, because, for example, at the moment it's February 2025, and there are going to be a lot of Valentine specific products that are coming up in the bestseller list, but those are not evergreen things. So you're better off having a look at sales from the last year. All time, you can maybe have a look at, but I personally would stick to best-selling from the last year. The other thing you can have a look at is the Zazzle's product range. So if you go to zazzle.com/custom, you'll see the enormous range of products that they have, just to get an idea, so that if, for example, you want to try travel products, have a look at what products are available. If you're wanting to do a pet store, I know they have pet beds and pet bowls, but there's not a huge range of products for pets. There are lot more options when you look at, personalized things for pet owners. So you can have a pet store that caters for owners as well as products for the pets. But anyway, I would have a look through the range of products just to get an idea. The products you'll find if you scroll down on that page, so that's below the portion the screenshot shows, it lists products. So those products are listed in order of popularity. However, I'm not sure. I assume it's based on the popularity of sales. So, for example, at Christmas, sort of around November, December, Christmas ornaments will come up at the top of the list of blanks that you can choose to design on. But, other times of the year, it's much further down, a couple of pages in. So it is a good idea just to bear that in mind. Right. And then the example I want to give is, let's say, for example, you do want to do a pet store. It's a good idea to have broad designs that appeal to dog lovers. So general dog designs. But a good idea is also to cater for specific breeds. So this example I have here is the most popular dog breeds in the US. And what is important to note is you can see Labradors have been, at the top of the list for many years, which means there's going to be a lot of competition. So there are going to be a lot of products designed for Labrador owners or Labrador lovers. Whereas when you look at French Bulldog, that has suddenly shot to the top of the popularity in 2022. So if you're going to start off designing more specific, for example, I know French Bulldogs are referred to as Frenchies. So, you can have a t-shirt that says, I love my Frenchie, and maybe it has a custom photo. The person could put a photo of their French Bulldog. So it can be a good idea to cater for the broad, all dog lovers and cat lovers and whatever, and then have some products that are specific to certain breeds. And you can experiment with that to see what is the most popular. Okay, so now I'm going to get into what my experience is, because at the end of the day, I can't tell you what niche is going to make you money. I can't do that. I can only tell you what has worked for me and what I've learned over the years. So in terms of products and niches, I now avoid. These are products that I have tried a number of times over the years, and I just have had no luck with it. I'm not saying you should avoid these. You might discover, like the first one is mugs. So I have mugs in my personalized store, and I think in my business store, but I've decided I'm not going to design any new ones. I do have ones that sell really well, but for every mug design that sells well, there are probably 50 that didn't sell or sold one or two. So I've just decided that it's not worth my time to design mugs that I'm only going to make $1 or $2 on per sale, and where I'm not going to make a mountain of sales every month. So it's just not worth my while anymore to design more mugs. So if you're thinking about just designing a mug store, personally, that's not something I would do. T-shirts is the other one. Sort of funny t-shirts that I've tried over the years, or cool t-shirts or gaming t-shirts or whatever, and I've had zero luck with it. There are people who make a living just on doing t-shirts and just text-based t-shirts. When we get into a later lesson, I will give you a list of the YouTubers and bloggers who have some great ideas. And the one guy has no design skills. He he makes six figures every year just designing text-based t-shirts, but he's selling those on Amazon. Um, and maybe that's what the difference is. Maybe Zazzle's t-shirt market is not as great as Amazon's is. I don't know. All I know is I'm not designing any more t-shirts. My time is better spent on products and designs that I know will sell. So again, I would not recommend doing a t-shirt, just a t-shirt store. That was an idea I had early on, and I have scrapped that idea. Funny stuff. As I said, I've tried over the years funny mugs, funny t-shirts, and I have had no luck with that at all. I don't think, in fact, I think there's maybe one or two funny t-shirt designs. So there's no personalization. It's just a funny image or a funny saying or something on it. I've got a couple that have sold, a few copies, but nothing. I basically wasted my time designing those. So yeah, that is something I also just now avoid. Wall art. I also tried wall art. There are people who do make a good living selling wall art. I don't know how well the wall art stores on Zazzle do. I don't know. But it's something I tried a couple of times, different designs, and I've just had no luck with it. So that's something I don't design anymore either. If you are an artist and you're going to create your own paintings and all that sort of thing, you might have more success with the wall art than I have. So it really comes down to your abilities. And at the end of the day, you can try all of these things. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you can try all of these things and see. It's the throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks approach. And that's how I've done it for all of these years. Is just simply to try different things. For example, baby dummies or pacifiers. I tried those because I saw someone saying, they sell a lot of those. I never sold one, so I've given up on that. But these are things you can every now and then try, throw in some different things and see what happens. I also do not do any holidays, seasonal designs. It requires so much, research and work and coming up with the designs and all this sort of thing for it only to be for it to only sell for a month, a year. So I certainly would not do a holiday store where you only do, all the major holidays. I wouldn't do that. The only exception to this would be baby showers, because those are often, there are a lot of themes. There are evergreen themes for baby showers, but there are also ones specific to certain times of the year. So Valentine's Day, for example, there's a baby shower theme, which is a little sweetheart is on the way. So that's the kind of thing that will be popular in for baby showers in February, although they can also sell at other times of the year. But for most of the seasons, holidays, there are baby shower themes that you can match, that you can design, and that's something I do still do because that I feel is worthwhile. Okay, so my niches. What do I sell? I have personalized gifts. So that is my biggest store. As I said, it's everything but the kitchen sink, and I really wish I'd known early on, that wasn't a good idea. but I'm stuck with it now. Um, so it's personalized gifts. It's essentially blankets, mugs. There are even puzzles. Um, those are evergreens. However, certain products, like for example blankets, November and December is when the sales spike for those items. Um, and I have a blanket that is the the product that has earned me the most royalties overall. But when you look at the sales charts for it, you can see there's negligible sales during the year up until November, December when it spikes. Obviously, it's winter and it's Christmas, blankets for, dad, for, family members uh, are quite popular as gifts. I also have a wedding store selling stationery, uh, decor, must and there, and favors. Uh, that I, that's another niche that I do recommend, but only if it appeals to you. And again, you're gonna have to try different things and see what works for you. These are the things that work for me. Business. So business cards, gift certificates, loyalty cards, stamps, that kind of stuff. I mostly sell business cards. That's definitely the top 10 earners for me in my business store are all business cards. Funerals. So again, stationery, invitations, programs, thank you cards, and then decor. So banners, signs, then favors. So, people often buy, whether it's a keychain or a pin button, etc., to give to guests at the funeral. Parties. So I have a party store. So as I said to you earlier, having just a baby shower store is not something I would recommend. But having a party store where you can do baby showers, birthdays, kids or adults, graduation, holidays. So yes, graduation is not an evergreen, it's a seasonal. Oh, sorry. Shush. Sorry. But graduation is a seasonal thing. But if you have a store that is doing other evergreen categories, then it's fine to have some seasonal stuff thrown in as well. And holidays. So, Thanksgiving dinner invitations, Christmas party invitations, that sort of, and decor and all that sort of stuff is fine. Okay, so that is those are the major stores I have. I have a couple of other stores, but I don't devote a lot of time to them. They don't have a lot of products in them, simply because I've got my hands full already with those major stores. All right, so choosing a store name. The biggest advice I have for you is choose a very generic name for your first store. When I say your first store, you might only ever have one store, which is fine, but however many stores you have, your first store, you should give it a generic name. So why a generic name? Well, a generic name, rather than, if you call your store, let's say you're like, okay, I think I want to do a wedding store, so I'm going to call my store Matrimonial Bliss. But you then discover that actually weddings don't, you're not selling much, and you want to try other products, try other niches. You can't really do that in a store called Matrimonial Bliss. So if you go for a more generic store name, it gives you the flexibility to, throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, and then you can narrow down your niche quite easily without the name being a problem. So my gift store has a name that is very much focused on gifts. So when I started experimenting with other things like funeral invitations, wedding stuff, it's a bit weird having it in a gift store. So yes, a generic name. All right. So what are your options? You can go with your name. You know, bup, bup, bup. That's quite a simple option that allows you to go into any niche and experiment as much as you want in terms of the kinds of products and designs you have without any problem. The other option you have is just to use ChatGPT to brainstorm store names. So I've given an example of how you can word it. I'm opening a store on Zazzle.com and need a generic name that is suitable for any niche. Give me 20 suggestions. And then you can check those on Zazzle to see if the names are available. We will go through the process in the next episode. That'll be on creating your first store. So you'll see there where you can check to see if a store name is available. But for now, I would suggest you start looking, start brainstorming, and come up with a list of 10 options for names. Here are some examples. Some of them are from ChatGPT, and some I just, came up with. So looking at them, when you look at those names, they don't sort of dictate what niche you're going to be focusing on. So you can put wedding stuff, birthday party stuff, funeral stuff, personalized gifts. You can do whatever you want in a store with this kind of a name, because it's not going to be restrictive. All right, so then the last thing I'm going to cover now is testing your niche. So you have some ideas, but you're not sure which niche you want to go with. So my suggestion is design multiple products in a variety of styles. So design a couple of wedding invitations, wedding thank you cards, a couple of different wedding things, not too many. Maybe some birthday, whatever niches you're thinking about, you're like, I'm not sure which one to go with. Design a bunch of stuff and put that up, and then track what works. So how many views are the products getting? How many sales? So if you, after 2 months, 3 months, you have products that still have not had any views, it's probably a good idea to start experimenting with other niches. Sales are obviously a very good sign. A policy I've had for a couple of years now is, as soon as I sell something, I immediately go and design another one. So if I sell a wedding invitation, I'll go design another similar, a wedding invitation with a similar style, so that you are focusing on the kinds of products and designs that are selling. Okay, that's it. I was really hoping that this lesson would be about 30 minutes, but I see now we're pushing an hour. So I'm really sorry, because I know if you have ME and in particular brain fog, it's just a lot. So I would highly recommend just watch it in short spurts. Then just a summary, so that for the brain fogged, basically what we've discussed is choose a niche that works with your design skills, study Zazzle's Bestsellers, start with evergreen niches. You can always add in other more seasonal things, but start with the evergreen niches, so that all of the products you're adding have the potential to sell any day of the year. Choose a generic name for your first store. Experiment with niches to identify what works for you. So as I said, throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Design all kinds of different products, in different categories, different design styles, and see what works for you. The next episode, I'll be talking about creating a Zazzle store, and I'll take you through the process step by step. So come up with your options for your store name and have a look at all the bestsellers. Start just thinking about your niches. As I said, you hopefully are going to come up with a store name that is a generic store name, so you'll be able to pivot and completely change your niche or whatever it is as you go along. So thank you so much if you've made it through this hour-long video. I'm hoping to make them shorter in future, but it is a bit difficult because I do want to make sure that I'm giving you all the information you need, and obviously also with my speech and memory issues, that does add a bit of time. So I hope you got something out of this and that you're excited to get your store going and to pick a niche. If you do have any questions or you'd like some feedback on your niche ideas, I'm happy to do that. Please join the Facebook group to search for Dragonflies and Dreams. That is the group specifically for this course. And I'll be happy to give you some feedback or share my experience if you have any questions about niches. So again, thanks so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you again next time.